Okay, so you are not as safe here at work as you may think you are. Hazards and safety issues are present all around us and can cause accidents. An accident is defined as an unfortunate incident that happens unexpectedly or unintentionally that may result in damage or injury. When you work in an office setting, you don't really think about it being an unsafe place to work. Graceful has never been a word that I've been associated with. In a span of 6 years, I sprained my left ankle 7 times and my right one 8 times. Every time I walk out of the parking lot when it's icy, I always have a mini heart attack thinking I'm going to fall on my butt. The biggest issue or concern isn't really falling on my butt, it's falling and landing on my hands and hurting them and not being able to work. According to the site for Occupational Safety and Health, in an article on August 1st, 2014, titled Hand Safety Matters, the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the National Safety Council state that U.S. workers sustain about 110,000 hand injuries every year that result in time loss. In that article, they also state that hand injuries across all industries result in an average of 5 to 11 days of work missed. And that's not including rehabilitation. Aside from hurting your hands, when you fall, you can also hurt your wrists, your elbows, your knees, your ankles, your feet, as well as your head, your shoulders, your back, and your hips. It's a lot of issues you have to worry about. I can say that since the start of the year, I have slipped out in the parking lot more than a handful of times. Thankfully, I haven't landed on my butt yet. You're still new. Knowing what the hazards of your workplace are will allow you to have a safer work environment. First, I will tell you what some of the hazards that are present here in our workplace are. Next, I will tell you what the difference is between slips, trips, and falls. Third, I will tell you how to prevent some of the hazards that are present here. And lastly, I will tell you who to report any hazards or safety issues you come across, as well as any accidents too. So let's find out what safety issues and hazards we have present here. In an office environment, we have to worry about many safety hazards. If you're like me, you trip over the carpet. Actually, I trip over my own feet, but you blame it on the carpet. There are also hazards such as running into filing cabinets. I bang my knee against one every day. You also have to worry about bumping into someone's chair if it's left out in the aisle. You also need to be careful of leaning back in your chair and getting yourself a mini heart attack doing that as well. And you also need to make sure that, unlike me, and don't take after my example, you don't roll from one place to another in your chair across an aisle, because that's unsafe as well. If they're cleaning the break room or the bathroom, you have to worry about wet or slippery floors. And you may also get tangled up in somebody's phone cord if they're stretching it from one desk to another. According to, now let's find out what's the difference between slips, trips, and falls. Okay. So we can see from this slide, they're all 3 different things. I did not know this before doing the research, but slip, trip, and fall are all completely separate. Slips are on flat surfaces, trips usually involved an object, and falls are when you're going with gravity. According to volume 71 of the OSHA Quarterly, slips, trips, and falls are all defined differently. They state that slips are what occur when there's too little friction between an individual's feet and the walking surface. The National Floor Safety Institute published some quick facts from 2014, which I viewed on February 11, 2015, that stated 85% of workmen's comp claims are attributed to employees slipping on slick floors, which means 15% is everything else that they do for workmen's comp. That is a big chunk to be just for slips. The Claims Journal published an article in January of this year that also stated that $2.1 billion were paid out for workmen's comp claims just for slips or trips that did not result in a fall. Trips occur when the forward or backward movement of the foot is interrupted, causing loss of balance, and falls occur when an individual loses their gravity or balance. The National Floor Safety Institute also stated falls account for over 8 million hospital emergency room visits, representing the leading cause of visits at 21.3%. That means 1 out of every 5 people that go to the emergency room go because they fell. Slips, trips, and falls are the #1 the number one type of accidents that are reported here to our employer. So now we know what slips, trips, and falls are, but we need to learn how we can prevent them. The slips, trips, and falls are the easiest type of accident to prevent. One of the main ways that we can prevent the slips, trips, and falls is by just paying attention to what we're doing. You can also make sure to pick up any trash or whatever else you may have dropped on the floor so that you or somebody else doesn't walk on it. You can make sure that if there's a wet floor sign, and we're all familiar with what they look like, caution wet floor, big yellow sign, that if there's one of these on the ground, that we are walking slowly and carefully. We can also make sure that if it's snowing or icy outside, that we are taking extra caution. Make sure that you're wearing appropriate shoes or boots, and that you're taking slow steps, small steps as well, as opposed to longer or quick steps. And always make sure to try not to be in a hurry when you're outside in the snow or ice. Now to answer the big question. If you were to have an accident at work or to see a safety hazard, who would you report this to? Well, I'm going to tell you. There are a couple of things you can do to report an accident. First, you can go to your team leader and let them know that you've had an accident at work. However, they may just end up pointing you in the direction of HR. Secondly, you can go to HR directly and talk to them about any accidents you may have at work. Also, if there's any safety hazards that you notice or may come across, those would be the people that you would need to talk to about as well. So that's it. That is the broad overview of safety in our workplace. You all now know how safe or unsafe, depending on how you look at it, our workplace can be. You know what to look out for in an office environment, and you can now determine the difference between a slip, trip, or fall. You all know how to prevent some of the hazards that are present here at work. And lastly, if an accident does occur, you know who the appropriate people are to talk to about it. I hope now you are confident in the knowledge that you have and have been given, and will help us continue to keep a safe work environment. Remember, we're all part of a team, and our workplace becomes a safer place when we look out for each other. Thank you.